Welcome to this deep dive from Defiant, the lifestyle sports brand on-chain. We're jumping straight into the 5 biggest stories across DeFi, entertainment, and sports this week, giving you the essential insights and, well, why they matter. Got some great feedback last time, and we've really tried to bring even more analysis today. Let's get started.
Absolutely. It's been a busy week. Lots of interesting shifts, and you can really see how these different spaces are getting more connected.
Definitely. Let's dive into the DeFi and crypto world first. There's some really explosive activity on the Ronin network, right? Especially with OpenSea integrated now.
Exactly. The numbers are pretty eye-opening. We're seeing trading volume for Ronin NFTs over 6.27 million RON. That's, what, about $4.35 million?
Okay.
But here's the real kicker. The volume on OpenSea for those NFTs is like more than 35 times what's happening on Ronin's own marketplace.
35 times. Wow. That's
Yeah.
that's not a small difference.
Not at all. It just underscores the power of platform reach. OpenSea, has this massive established user base.
Right.
It's kind of like a major highway suddenly opening up access to a smaller town.
Good analogy.
Yeah, suddenly way more people can easily get to what's there.
Yeah.
In this case, it's the gaming NFTs on Ronin. We're seeing collections like Ronkeverse really taking off almost half the volume. And then you've got the usual suspects like Axie Infinity and newer ones like Fableborn Kingdom. What's really fascinating is seeing how a dominant marketplace like OpenSea can just accelerate growth in a specific ecosystem. It brings in a whole new ways of users.
So it's not just about having cool digital stuff, it's making it easy to find and trade.
Precisely. User experience is everything. OpenSea offers that familiar, trusted interface for a lot of traders.
Makes sense.
And then you add in incentives like earning XP for engaging within these gaming ecosystems. It just fuels the activity more. It's rewarding beyond just maybe flipping NFTs.
Right. It gives another reason to participate.
Yeah. And there's this anticipation, too, of more PFP projects, profile picture NFTs launching on Ronin. That suggests they're aiming broader, maybe pulling in a more mainstream NFT crowd.
Interesting. So beyond just gamers.
Exactly. It really highlights a key lesson for the whole NFT space. Great tech needs great accessibility to really take off.
That highway analogy really works. Okay, so Ronin isn't just resting on its NFT success. They're making big moves into DeFi, too.
Absolutely. They're being very strategic about expanding, trying to become a more comprehensive consumer blockchain.
Okay.
The launch of Ronin Blitz, backed by a pretty hefty $3 million in token rewards, clearly signals they want to build out their DeFi side. And we're seeing some very high APRs, annual percentage yields in their liquidity pools and lending protocols. That Ron pool yielding over 220%. That's definitely turning heads.
Whoa, 220%. That sounds incredibly high. What are the risks there for the average user? It seems almost too good to be true.
Yeah, that's a really crucial question. Those super high APRs, they're enticing, but they almost always come with increased risk.
Okay.
It could be because the pool is new and heavily incentivized to attract liquidity quickly, or it could reflect a higher perceived risk in the actual assets in the pool. Users really need to do their own research, understand things like impermanent loss, other DeFi risks before jumping in.
Right. Definitely not just free money.
No. But from Ronin's perspective, this kind of aggressive incentivization is strategic. It's about bootstrapping DeFi adoption within their existing gaming community. They're basically subsidizing early engagement to build out that financial infrastructure.
Got it. So high risk, high reward for the early birds, but a key part of Ronin's growth plan.
Exactly. By weaving DeFi directly into their ecosystem, they're aiming for a stickier, more versatile platform. Imagine, earning tokens playing a game, then seamlessly putting those tokens to work in a DeFi protocol for extra income, all on the same chain.
Yeah, the seamlessness is attractive.
And they launched that DeFi rewards dashboard, powered by Merkle. That's a big step for transparency, making these yield opportunities easier for everyday users to find and understand.
Okay.
Bigger picture. Ronin is trying to build this self-contained digital economy where gaming and DeFi are just deeply intertwined.
Like a flywheel effect, maybe. Where gaming feeds DeFi and DeFi rewards loop back into the ecosystem.
Precisely. That blend of entertainment and finance, it has the potential to attract and keep a much broader audience. This really positions Ronin as a serious contender, maybe even a dominant layer one, specifically in that consumer blockchain space. Play, trade, earn, all in one place.
Definitely want to keep a close eye on. Okay, let's shift gears a bit to the broader crypto market. President Trump's recent announcement about reciprocal tariffs, That seems to have made some waves.
Yes, that announcement definitely had an immediate market reaction. We saw pretty significant price drops across the majors. Bitcoin dipped, around 6%?
Yeah.
Ether down about 8%, and Solana took a bigger hit, like 15%.
Mm-hmm.
The proposal includes a baseline 10% tariff on imports, but potentially much higher, up to 50% on goods from certain countries.
Okay, tariffs on physical goods. How does that connect to something digital like Bitcoin? Seems indirect.
Well, the immediate impact seems more driven by sentiment. It puts pressure on that digital gold narrative for Bitcoin, the idea that it's a safe haven uncorrelated with traditional markets.
Oh, okay.
These price drops suggest investors see these big macro policy shifts as potentially negative for risk assets generally, and, well, crypto is being treated as a risk asset here. What's interesting is seeing analysts, like at JP Morgan, questioning Bitcoin's hedge status right now.
Right.
They're pointing to its recent correlation with stocks and outflows from Bitcoin ETFs.
Right.
So really raises that question, can even decentralized assets truly be immune to global economic and political events?
So that idea of Bitcoin just operating in its own separate bubble is being tested.
Exactly. The interconnectedness of global markets, even with newer asset classes like crypto, is just becoming clearer. Plus, there are more direct potential impacts too. Think about U.S. Bitcoin miners. They could face higher costs for imported hardware, especially ASICs, those specialized mining rigs. A lot of those are made in China.
Right, the mining machines.
Yeah, so tariffs could squeeze margins, especially for less efficient mining operations. Might even lead to some consolidation in the mining industry here.
That's a very tangible effect. Interesting. But I think the reporting also mentioned a potential upside or opportunity linked to this?
Yes, there's a counter-argument floating around. The idea is that maybe the revenue from these tariffs could potentially be used to fund a strategic Bitcoin reserve for the U.S.
A national Bitcoin reserve.
That's bold. It's speculative, for sure, but it hints at a possible long-term view where the government might see strategic value in holding Bitcoin. More broadly, you could see this as a kind of inflection point in U.S. trade policy. Short-term pain or volatility for crypto, maybe, but potentially fostering a stronger, more U.S.-based crypto infrastructure long-term.
So forcing a rethink.
Yeah, forces a reevaluation of Bitcoin's role in this changing global economic picture. It's complex.
Definitely complex. Lots of angles there. Okay, let's pivot to the world of sports. Big news in the NFL with tight end Trey McBride's contract extension. What's the significance beyond just the big number?
Yeah, Trey McBride's deal, $76 million over 4 years. It's a landmark contract. Makes him the highest paid tight end ever.
Right.
But it's significant because it reflects how the tight end role is evolving in modern NFL offenses. They aren't just extra blitzers anymore. The league is putting a huge premium on versatile players who are major threats in the passing game.
So the old image of the tight end just being a big blocking guy is fading?
Absolutely. Guys like McBride, who have the athleticism, the hands of a receiver, but still the size to block effectively. They're incredibly valuable.
Dual threats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This contract screams that value. And it'll likely have ripple effects. Teams will probably prioritize finding and developing these types of tight ends even more now.
In the draft and development.
Yeah, scouting, development could even influence play calling, More plays designed specifically for these athletic mismatches at tight end.
Fascinating how offensive strategy drives up the value like that.
Okay, turning to college sports now. LSU basketball player Flau J. Johnson. She seems to be really building a brand for herself.
Yeah, Flau J. Johnson's story is a really compelling example of the NIL name, image, likeness era in action.
Right.
She's not just killing it on the court for LSU, she's also very strategically and successfully building her personal brand. Lots of NIL deals, significant media exposure.
So for college athletes now, it's really not just about performance anymore. Exactly. The ability to cultivate a public image, connect with fans, secure endorsements, it's become a huge part of the college athlete experience. Johnson's success in navigating all that, balancing hoops with being an entrepreneur, it's really like a blueprint for future college athletes.
Showing them how it's done?
Yeah, showing how to leverage these NIL opportunities to build a real brand, generate income, while still competing at the highest level.
Sounds like she's not just a great athlete, but also a pretty savvy business person.
Precisely. Her journey really highlights how important things like media literacy, brand management, even financial know-how are becoming for young athletes entering college sports now.
New skill set required.
Totally. She's demonstrating you can excel in your sport and build a valuable personal brand that can last way beyond your playing days. It's a major shift in how we think about student athletes.
That really brings us to the end of this deep dive brought to you by Defiant. We've covered a lot today. Ronin's ecosystem boom, crypto reacting to macro policy, that huge NFL deal, and the rise of the athlete entrepreneur in college.
Indeed. What's really striking is how all these areas, though they seem different, are all undergoing these major transformations. Driven by innovation, changing rules, new dynamics, we're seeing gaming and finance merge, global economics hitting digital assets, and athletes gaining more power and opportunity.
So, thinking about everything we discussed, what's maybe the single biggest takeaway for our listeners from this week's dive?
Hmm. I think it's that continued blurring of lines. The way DeFi is integrating into gaming like on Ronin, or how global policy impacts Bitcoin,
Oh,
just shows how interconnected everything is becoming. You really need to pay attention across different sectors now to grasp the forces shaping things.
good point. And what's a question this deep dive left you thinking about? Something still unresolved?
I'm really curious about the regulatory landscape for both DeFi and crypto generally. How will regulators respond to this rapid growth, the blending with gaming, the increased attention from traditional finance and governments?
Yeah.
That's going to be huge for the future path of this whole space.
Absolutely. That regulatory piece is always looming. Well, thank you for breaking all this down for us. Always insightful.
My pleasure. It's definitely never dull keeping up with this stuff. Always learning.
And for everyone listening, we hope this deep dive gave you a clearer picture of the key stories shaping DeFi, entertainment, and sports. Maybe think about how these trends intersect in your world, what new questions pop up. This is really just the start of the conversation. What will you dig into next? We'll catch you on the next deep dive.